There are a few things that make me mad automatically, but one of them for sure is when I turn down the street in my neighborhood and I see a for sale sign sitting in one of my neighbor's yards and it does not belong to me. Which is why I had to bring on my real life real estate bestie, Stephanie Osborn, because she's had that feeling a time or two, but oh, she just got her first listing in her neighborhood. And we're going to talk about exactly what she did to secure the listing and what you can do to get more listings in your neighborhood too. Hey, Stephanie.
Hey, Rosemary, how are you?
I am doing good, girl. You're looking good. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Look, okay, because we don't hold back and we share with the besties exactly like all the behind the scenes, let them know how this conversation even got started. Why did I invite you on the podcast?
So after I put my first sign in my neighborhood, I called Rosemary because I got super emotional. And I was like, Rosemary, did you get emotional when you put your first sign in your neighborhood? And Rosemary, in true Rosemary fashion, started laughing at me and then was like, nah, I'm a G. Like, I do this. And I'm like, girl. So next thing you know, here we are.
Okay, so that was so funny because Stephanie, like full disclosure, y'all, Steph is on my team. So we are not only real life real estate besties, but we are in this business thing together.
Yes.
So I definitely give you a little bit of a hard time. So when you called me, I was like, no, I'm a thug. Like I'm from Shy. Like I didn't cry, but no, honestly, I remember just that feeling of, oh my goodness, I get to work in my neighborhood, and
Yes.
I was so excited. So I understand your excitement.
And that's the first time she admitted this. So,
Oh, well, maybe. Okay, but let's get to the nitty gritty. So let's
okay.
back up a little bit because this has not been like, a one and done. This was not microwave success that you are experiencing right now. Tell the besties a little bit about your background and how you came into real estate.
Okay. Well, I'm originally from Michigan. Husband and I, we loved it here first time we visited. And it was kind of like whoever gets the job first wins. Fast forward, he got the job first. We made it down here. I started putting in job offers again. And I was previously working for the government. They did a hiring freeze. So I was like, okay, what next? So Rosemary, I don't know if everybody knows this, but she is also my aunt and my realtor. She needed a transaction coordinator. So she trained me up. I started doing transaction coordination for her, loved it, decided to get my license more so to help her on the documents because sometimes when you're a transaction coordinator, you can kind of murky of like what you can and can't do. So as long as you're licensed, it's like you can just do it all. Fast forward, Rosemary had to beeline to Chicago, take care of Grandma Barb. And she basically was like, here's my business. Call these people if you need help. I didn't know what I was doing, y'all. And here I am today. I made it.
You made it. Look, that was 20. Listen, friend, that was 2021. This is 2025. So statistically, you beating a lot of people because 87% of realtors like fell out the business within the first 5 years. You got one more year to go. And
One
you
more
can
year to
say you made
go.
it.
I'm going to make it.
You're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. Okay. So I like to give that context because it's all like in my mind, it's all a little bit of a blur. But you're right. When I helped you and your husband buy your home, and this is also great for context, right? Because we're talking about you farming and you securing listing in a neighborhood that you've only lived in. You didn't grow up in Texas. This is
No.
a new environment for you, new community, new everything. And I forgot that you were not my transaction coordinator. I feel like right after we closed your house was when you started helping me on the transaction side. Does that sound right?
It was right before we
Okay.
closed on the house. And then I want to say later on that year is when I got my license.
Okay. Okay. So you got your license, did not think that you would be a real estate agent. You were kind of voluntold to be in the business. And I'm gonna tell y'all something, y'all. Like I was very happy because what she's referring to is when my mom passed away, there was just a time where I was like, I can't function. And what's funny is that Stephanie and Tempest, who's on my team now, they were asking me because Tempest was helping out as my showing assistant. you were in the role of transaction coordinator, but kind of assistant to me too. And they were asking me, like, should you, you should have a team. I didn't want it. I didn't want the responsibility. That's a conversation for another day. Put a comment in the chat if you're watching on YouTube if you want me to talk about why I actually ended up with the team, like what was or actually why I didn't want one. I think that's a better example of why I didn't want one. But this wasn't what you planned. So before we even talk about farming, was it hard?
What part? Real estate?
Yeah.
Yes. It was extremely hard for me. I have background in logistics and like procurement. So everything I ever done was behind the scenes. And with real estate, it's like, you got to get out there. I never forget when you told me you got to make your Facebook public. I said, what? For the world? And that took maybe like 2 weeks for me to do because I'm a C, if you guys know the disc, and I analyze everything. And Rosemary's like, I need your page public. And
Yeah.
so I made it public, and then she's like, okay, now I need you to post on said page. You know, it was like baby steps. And it was just that scared feeling of just putting yourself out there and the world seeing you. Like, what if somebody doesn't like you? What they say something nasty under your comments or your reels or something? It was just all the what ifs. And eventually I was just like, these what ifs are not getting me paid. I got
Mm.
to do what I got to do out here, and my people will come.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. So, one thing that's really funny to me, I remember because, Steph was, again, my TC. So, used to helping me, manage 8 to 10 transactions a month, all of the client issues. And like she said, we're family. So, there were times where, like, we'll be hanging out in the pool and I'm getting out the pool to handle business and things like that. But then, so you had a firsthand account. However, I
However,
remember you telling me this, like, this is a lot harder than it looks, even though I was really, really close to it.
yes, it was a lot harder. It really got hard when Rob and I, that's my husband, when we were in Jamaica, and
Ooh.
I had a
We gonna
deal.
tell this story?
We can tell the story because
Okay.
I think we both are healed from it.
Okay.
Now, I'm gonna let you fill in the blanks because it was a while ago. But this is our first time going on vacation with me as an entrepreneur. So my husband, like he works his 9 to 5, and he's like, when I'm off, I'm off. So I had Tempest show my client. They found a house, loved it, and so I'm trying to work it out while on vacation. And I thought she was gonna do it sooner, and I called Rosemary. I really hope she closes the house before I go to Jamaica. Okay. Meanwhile, while I'm talking to Rosemary, she's on vacation,
Yes.
walking me through the steps. So there's that. But
On my anniversary. Like it
okay.
was literally like there was a something that popped up on her transaction. And honestly, like let me catch you up on what happened. On your transaction, there was like a fight, like a big old fire we had to put out.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's my whole anniversary. I'm going back and forth because I'm coaching you through. I'm your team leader, right? And I didn't have any problem doing that. But then you were like, well, I hope we get this wrapped up before I leave for Jamaica in the morning because I don't want these distractions while I'm on my trip. I said,
Yeah, I
uh.
was selfish.
But okay, we have aired out our dirty laundry. This is real life bestie stuff. Let's talk about farming your neighborhood because I think a lot of times people think that if you join a team, it's just easy selling. The team is going to feed you leads. You don't have to work as hard. The team leader don't have to work as hard, which we don't even have to go into all of the, why that is completely false, at least with the way that we do business.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I will say is from the very beginning, I think that you were clear that yes, you are a part of our team and our ecosystem, but you were not just going to be comfortable riding off of the coattails of the business that I built. You wanted to contribute to that.
Yes.
And we saw an opportunity because the area where you move, and I'm gonna shout it out, Melissa, Texas. So if you need a referral agent for somebody coming to Melissa, Texas, Stephanie is it. You wanted to be very strategic on farming your area and getting more notoriety, getting more deals, becoming an expert of your market. So let's just talk about like what that has been like for you.
It's been a journey. So moving to a new area where everything is new to you, you don't know the people, right? So
Mhm.
you're coming in there fresh, and you get, it's kind of like starting a brand new high school in the middle of the year. Like, who's
Oh,
this?
that's a good analogy.
It's like, are they gonna like me? You're standing up in front of the class, they eyeing you type of thing. And I'm not saying people are like eyeing me, but that's what it felt like to me. So you just kind of had to slowly meet people. So the first people that I actually met were my next door. Well, first was my next door neighbor to the other side of me when I was having. I don't know if you remember this, Rosemary. When I was having my meltdown at the final walkthrough, and he
I
came
remember.
over and introduced himself. So he met me in the total like, oh my God moment. But we end up liking each other. We kick it still to this day. And then when we finally closed, we met the neighbors on the other side of us. And I was like she was just full of life and just vivacious and all these things. And I was just like, it was a lot because
Yeah.
I am not naturally just like a talker person. But the thing that I think started to happen, well, it didn't start. I don't think it did. It was just organic relationships started to build.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then I started to meet more of the neighbors. And then as I met more of the neighbors, I let them know I was in real estate. And then as I let them know I was in real estate, I just started to build from that.
Okay, now it's going to be somebody listening to this, like, but what do you
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, how? Because I don't want to sound salesy and I don't want to come off as thirsty and I don't want them to think that all I want to do is like talk to them because of business, right? So, what do you mean when you say I started to let them know I'm in real estate?
So it was just like little things. Because first of all, neighbors are nosy.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime somebody lists a house, everybody wants to know the deeds. Okay.
Yep.
So as soon as something, oh, did you see that house on 123 Main Street listed? Oh yeah, I saw that. They're listed at whatever price and they have this many bedrooms, this many bathrooms. Oh, they got a pool in the backyard too. And then, but how do you know that? Oh, well, I'm a realtor, I study the market here. So it just flows with the conversation. And it's not something that we do like every single day. Like every time they see me, I'm not talking real estate.
Right, but you just dropped a major key, right? Because I started this off by saying, and I may be guilty of this, right? I started this off by saying there's nothing that grinds your gears more than to see a for sale sign in your yard. But what I hear you saying is like I took the other listings as an opportunity to demonstrate my professionalism and my knowledge. So, this other chick, Rosemary, might have been like, yes, I like the pictures ain't good. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to find a way to hate on it. But what I hear you saying is that you kept up with market. So when the conversation came up, you were able to not only insert that you were a real estate agent, but insert some value. And that's the number one key. Like, first of all, know what's happening in your hood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, know the names of the streets, know the types of builders, know all of these things. And that's for most of us a quick MLS search. Okay. So what else? Like what else has it looked like to build community and relationship and eventually your first listing in your neighborhood?
Okay. So I also I joined networking groups. So I joined like our Melissa Chamber of Commerce. I joined there. I'm actually on their advisory board right now. And then also I joined, at the time it was a Melissa Women's Networking Group for women entrepreneurs. I joined that group as well and just got to meet more women. Another thing that I do daily is we have like three main Facebook pages and I make sure I comment on at least 10 posts every
Okay.
day, giving like resource like what's good to eat, what's a good date night, who does hair, I need a roofer, or who details cars. And I know these things because I visit local businesses. I get their information. This is my C coming out. I have a spreadsheet with all the information on. I knew you're going to laugh at me, with all the information on there. That way I can just pull up my spreadsheet, slide the information in there and go.
Okay, wait. Because that's another gem, right? So because most of these Facebook groups and what we're referring to, like the community that Stephanie lives in, and this one's similar to me, in North Texas, friends, we have so many people come. It's a very transient community. I hope I'm saying that the right way. But we have lots of people coming in all the time. So you may have people, and in the Metroplex, like even if I was local to Dallas, but I'm moving from one area to the next, I'm not going to drive 40 minutes to the dentist, right? So now that I'm in this new community, what dentist do you recommend? What's close for date night? What's close for babysitting? So you actually got a spreadsheet where you got all that written down, so it's a handy like resource.
Yes.
Okay, that's smart. That like I'm that is smart. That's smart.
And I can't say I thought of that. I took it from somebody else who taught me. So,
Okay. Okay. So but that is genius. So now you are engaging in this group or these groups. So
Mhm.
the people are seeing your name over and over again. And it's not in the capacity of, do you know anybody who wants to buy your sale? Oh, stop saying that. That annoys me. But okay. I'll keep going. So what else? What else are you doing?
So for this listing that we just did, we just had an open house. And what I found out at the open house, one of the biggest game changers, I did these magnets, calendar magnets for the school. And the first like two, I don't say the first like 2, 3 days of school, I went up to the school in my neighborhood and I just handed out magnets. Everybody wants a calendar for the school.
Yep.
And when people walked into the open house on Saturday, they were like, we have your magnet on our fridge. Like they instantly recognized me because every time they open the fridge, they see my face.
I love it. I love it. So let's now talk about, okay, so you put in a couple things down for us. You told us about the calendar magnets, so that's like some pop by stuff you're doing. You are commenting and engaging in the Facebook groups. Have you created your own Facebook group? Like, do you have to have your own, or are you just commenting on neighborhood Facebook groups?
I just comment on neighborhood Facebook groups. I don't really have my own. I do have like one Facebook group relocating to Melissa, and I kind of put stuff on there. I actually do need to get more involved in that.
Okay.
But honestly, I found out that just commenting right there on the pages, I'm getting a lot more interaction.
You're getting a lot more engagement. And
Hmm.
are you like blocking time? Like, because you said I commented on 10 every day. So are you like blocking time to make sure that you are in those groups and doing stuff like that?
Yes. So in my lead gen time, like my first 30 minutes of my lead gen time is normally knocking that out. And I give 30 minutes because sometimes you kind of got to go through a little bit because you might not find 10. So then what I do, if I can't find 10, I comment on people who live in my area that are my friends on Facebook. I comment on their pages, like their kiddos, or like make sure I'm saying happy birthday to them or happy anniversary or whatever they got going on.
Okay, so that's a game changer because you're not just showing up on social media. You're not just showing up posting. And look, I'm saying this like I don't know, but I know. Besties, I'm doing this for y'all. I know what the girl is doing, okay? Because she kind of got a great, well, whatever. She's a bestie. This is what the besties be doing when they're plugged all the way in. And Stephanie's
Yes.
plugged all the way in. But you are not only showing up and posting. Well, let me back up. Are you posting? Like, what does
Mhm.
your posting on social media look like as it relates to what's happening in your neighborhood?
Everybody always wants to know when bulk trash day is.
Okay.
So every time that comes out, I'm like, hey, here's a bulk trash schedule, you know? Or if I just ate at a new restaurant in town because Melissa is steady growing, oh my God, you have to try the sushi at this restaurant. It was amazing, you know? Or if I have other local entrepreneurs. Like I said, I was in that women's networking group. So did you guys try this cleaning business? They are good. Like they just clean my house or something like that, you know? So just giving props to people in the neighborhood and also local business showing that I know what's going on. I pay attention to the local government pages as well. So anytime something new pops up, I'm sliding it out, I'm sharing that. It doesn't matter. Somebody else already shared it. I'm sharing it again.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
So,
I love that you said that, Stephanie, because oftentimes we will think to ourselves, like, oh, I can't share this because this person already shared it. But we forget how the algorithm works, right? Like, on average, like when you really get this, on average, what is it like 8% of people, somewhere between
mhm.
3 and 8% of people that follow you on Facebook or Instagram or whatever will actually see your post. So let me put that in perspective. If you have 100 Facebook friends and you put up a post, 3 to 8 of them are going to see it. And because we are all moving so quickly and so fast, 9 times out of 10, you got to see something 6 times before you like, oh, trash day is this week, right? It's what day is the 13th? Oh, the 13th is this week, right? So what I love that you are saying, and I'm complimenting you because, well, let me just say what I'm gonna say. What I'm gonna say is you're not overthinking it, right?
Mhm.
Or maybe that is a new skill for yourself, not to overthink
It's a new
it.
skill.
And you're not overcomplicating how to show up. The whole point is show up to build the relationship, to have the name and face recognition, and then you can go for the ask when it's
Yes.
right. Okay, so now let's talk about the listing. Where did the listing come from? How did that come about?
So the listing came from, it is actually my next door neighbor's house. The one that I told you guys that was super energetic. And I was like, oh my God, that was a lot. Yeah, we became family basically. long story short, it was like I said, it was very organic. They were just very open when we first moved in. Like we hung out, we had cocktails together, we played games together. They invited us over to their house. We came over to they came to our house. And she went through a rough patch a couple of years ago. And me and my husband, we just walked with her and the kids, as she was grieving and going through all the things. And then during that time frame, her kids became like my niece and nephew. Like we had sleepovers at my house and hanging out. When she caught COVID, her kids were at my house for 2 weeks. So it was very organic the way it happened. It wasn't just like I knocked on her door and 2 days later the house was sold. It
Yeah.
was just not intentionally building a friendship, just
Yep.
being a friend.
Okay, so this is the part when it comes to neighborhood farm because they're like I think when people think about farming a neighborhood, right? That they only think about sending postcards and doing the money events and going to the school. And yes, though that is part of it. But I
Hmm.
think that the big part that creates loyalty within your neighbors is actually being neighborly.
Yes.
Clutch your pearls. You know what I'm saying? Like actually being neighborly, actually, loving people well, actually like it drives me crazy when there are like the same person who would have such an attitude myself because this is the way I used to be by seeing a for sale sign. But I have to say to myself, if I don't know their name in that house, right? Like if I can't say that's Timmy house, right? Or that
Right.
Jaquita them or whoever the name is, then I don't have a right to have a problem. And I don't think that we're going to be able to know every single person, but what has the effort looked like to be neighborly? And what I have found, because, like the best business, in my opinion, like I love selling real estate, all over North Texas, but the best is selling it exactly where I live because I can speak to the neighborhood. I know it. I know the neighbors. I know
Yes.
the people. And when you are building a reputation of not only being a solid business person, but a good neighbor, like that is a well that's gonna keep flowing. And that's what I hear you saying. And I know it might be a bestie listening to this thinking to themselves, like, oh, it was your next door neighbor. But how many of y'all then, you didn't have a neighbor or a friend or a family member choose someone else because they only know that friend side of you. And contrary to popular belief, we have to earn the business.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what did that process look like? Because your neighbor, while you all have relationships, she about her business, right?
Yes. So let's be real clear. My neighbor is about her business, and she is like, if it's not making financial sense, it's making 0 sense, basically.
Hmm.
So fast forward, she needed a bigger house. She's getting started a new chapter, all the things, right? And so I'm very excited about that. And so they need a bigger house. And we found them a house. And we went through with that process already. But at the same time, I had to show up. Just because I'm their next door neighbor and their kids call me Auntie Stephanie does not mean I deserve their business.
Yep.
And I had to make sure that I did not walk in there as if like I deserve it. Because you don't deserve the business. You have to earn the business, and you
Okay.
have to earn the repeat business.
Let's talk about it though. Like let's because this is where I think people get it twisted. Is that the same level of professionalism,
Hmm.
the same level of, preparedness that you would take for a complete stranger? I almost feel like you have to take it up a few notches when you
Yes.
are in rapport and are in relationship because I never want somebody to think that just because they know me personally, I'm not going to take the same amount of care and consideration with them. But on the flip side, you do have to have boundaries because
Yes.
sometimes with people that know you, they may try to get you to flex outside of, the way you're running your business. So I'm just curious, like, did y'all have any conversations that where you had to hold your ground or were there any things where you had to remind yourself to, show that professionalism? Like, did you have anything like that go on?
Actually, I didn't. And I think it's because I set that tone early. Like, I did not deviate from what I normally do. So, just because we're
Mm,
friends, I still had a buyer's representation, a buyer's consultation with them, excuse me. I still had a listing appointment with them. I still came dressed professionally. I didn't come over in my yoga pants and some sneakers, you know.
yeah,
I made sure I looked like I was going to a professional meeting. I still walk their house. I've been in their house 10,000 times. I still walk the house with them, you know.
yeah, yeah.
And I made sure that I kept to my normal process and I told them what to expect and next steps like I would anybody else.
Yeah. And even the level of communication, right? Like even
Hmm.
now that the home is listed, and that's what look, we kind of fast forward over that. So y'all, she listed the house next door, but even before listing the house next door, she assisted the next door neighbor in her new boo thing, right? With
Yes.
buying a new house, right? So you help them buy a house in December. In January, their house came to market, and then you have another listing coming out of the deal because now he has a different property to sell in May. And I mean, people don't just do that. Did you have to have any like really tough conversations with them at all throughout these process?
I did. So the one conversation that was really tough in the beginning was the commission conversation. And then we had to just sit down and figure out like exactly what made sense for them and for me. And then we just came to an agreement and then we rolled with it. And then another thing too is that her fiance, they have a realtor that they use in
Mm,
their family, you know. So he is like breaking like with his family to come let me list not one, but two houses and then help them purchase another one, you know.
right.
So it that speaks volumes when someone trusts you like that and you don't want to break that trust.
No, you absolutely don't. And so what I hear you saying is even though this is my next door neighbor, auntie them, I still needed to show up with my A game and I needed to compete for the listing.
Listen, A plus plus game because
A
when people know you, they expect more from you
mm,
than your
mm,
normal clients will probably expect is what I'm finding out. So when I say like you always tell us over communicate, I'm overly communicating. Like I talk to them 2 to 3 times a day about everybody that's split in that house. Like when we had the open house, talk to them before, after, during, like all the things. So they want to know all the pieces.
yeah.
And you just have to provide that because when you're working with like friends or family, you can't be loxy daisy with it, you know, and think I got it in the bag. You have
Yeah.
to step up and you have to perform and you have to be like, this is the championship final 10 seconds type of show up.
Yeah, you got to show up. And this is what I love. Like, this is what I love about like being continually having listings in your neighborhood is because like it's free advertisement, right? Where
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? The people that notice your brand, they notice your face, they're driving past that house the whole time. You get to now talk in the Facebook group about that experience, about the type of buyers that came out to the open house. Like, it is just such a win-win. And I think it's great. Okay, before we wrap up, I do want you to talk about just, getting back to the feeling of seeing our sign, that you planted. Like, just what did that do for you?
One, I did not expect to feel the way I felt because it's like, yes, I got a listing. Like we're always excited when we're helping somebody, but it was just like, girl, like I didn't have to move my car, you know? And my husband was there and he was excited and it was just like, oh, like it was almost like, girl, you can do this because, like you said, this was a long game. Like, I have been farming my neighborhood for a couple of years now, you know, and there's tons of realtors in my neighborhood and Melissa. But one thing that I'm noticing too is that the more that I comment on like social media and the more people I interact with, when I see those posts that say looking for a realtor that know Melissa, more and more people are throwing my name out there and tagging me in that post.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
love that. I love that. And then when you hosted the open house, like what did that feel like when the people were coming in recognizing you from your pop buys and your things like that?
oh, it first of all, it made it so much easier to talk to them because most time when you meet somebody at the open house is a code meet. You're trying to figure it out. But when they walk in, it's like, oh hey, I know you. It was like, oh hey, where you know me from? You know, or you know, and then they could tell me with the magnet, or they saw me walking, or pop bys, or the wine walks, or whatever. it opened up the dialogue a little bit more, and then that way they're like, oh, I live around the corner where you live at. I'm like, oh, I live next door. You're like, really? Yeah. And so then that opened up to them asking more about the neighborhood. And I'm like, oh, well, I can send you over a home equity report and I can drop one off to your house, no problem. That way you know what your house can list for. So it just opened up the dialogue, excuse me, a lot easier and a lot smoother.
No, I love that. I love that. Okay, before we wrap up, look, can you just share if we have a bestie here who is like, oh, I want to farm my neighborhood, but I'm nervous. Like, this is where I live. Like, I don't know what I should be doing, how I should be doing it. Well, give them 3 pieces of advice just to get started with farming their hood.
I think the first thing, say hi.
Mm,
Just say hi.
preach.
That goes a long way. There's a guy that I see on my walks. We say hi every day, and then he saw me on Sunday on my walk and he was like, I didn't know you were a realtor. I was like, yeah. He goes, I just saw your post on our Facebook page and we just pass each other every day saying hi,
Yeah.
and that's the first conversation we had. Another thing, don't be scared. That held me back a lot, being scared, just to put myself out there. And sitting here thinking about it, I could probably have done more if I wasn't scared and held myself back. So, I mean, the worst thing somebody's going to say is no. Like, and what Rosemary used to always tell me, nobody's going to beat you up.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to say it a different way. The Lord is working on me, but
Yes, but I cleaned it up for you. Okay, and the third thing is talk about the neighborhood in the neighborhood chat. What are things that people want to know in your neighborhood? Tell them about it.
yeah, because let me tell you what they don't want to know, right? They don't want to know the price per foot. They don't want
Mm-mm.
to know, that you can, just the generic infographic stuff that realtors put out. But they do want to know when dress up day is in the neighborhood. And they do want to know when the Kroger is finally open. And they do
Yes.
want to know that restaurant that I know it's a Chinese restaurant, but they really got the bomb wings. They also want to know what the home sold for, right? They
Mm-hmm.
also want to see on the inside. They want to know about what the builder is doing up the street. They want to know how to protest their property taxes. Like really get into the heads of the people that you want to
Yes.
serve, and you want to deliver with that. So, okay, now we got some besties because you know what? North Texas, where we live, there are people coming here in droves, and you are in one of the fastest growing communities in Melissa, Texas. So, if you have anybody who is looking for living, looking for referral partners in Melissa or the surrounding areas, how can they get in contact with you, my dear?
So they can reach out to me on Instagram at Homes with Steph. And then they can also reach out to me on Facebook. Same thing, Homes with Steph TX.
Okay, perfect. And then we're going to put all of your links exactly where y'all are listening to the podcast or watching the video. And like I said, Stephanie is on my team. So if you have any referrals that are coming into the DFW area, our team covers the entire Metroplex. And we do it with gratitude. We do it so happily, and we will take care of your people just the same way that we take care of our people. So you can hit her up, email her, Stephanie at rlrealtygroup.com. She's our like spreadsheet chick. So she gonna put it all in the spreadsheet and tell us what to do and all that. Well, Stephanie, congratulations. I gave you a hard
Thank
time
you.
when you got your listing, said I'm a thug, but no, I am truly, truly proud of you because I see you putting in the work. And I guarantee you, like, watch, like I tell you, this is going to be the first of many opportunities that you get to serve in your own backyard. And I'm just so grateful to see it. And I'm grateful that you were willing to share with the besties exactly
Mhm.
what you did to get it.
Yes. And I am grateful for you because you held my hand through this process. Well, not really held my hand, but you taught me and then you pushed me out the nest, told me to fly. And I am thankful for that because you helped me not to, like, you saved me some mistakes, basically. And I'm
Right.
grateful. And you taught me what to do. So great
Yeah, I'm
coach.
grateful for you. Yay. All right, besties. I hope this was helpful. Hit the like button if it was, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye. If you enjoyed this episode and you have a real life bestie that you think it would resonate with, y'all, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that share button because you know what? We are better together. Make sure you share the podcast, and I appreciate your reviews. I appreciate you giving me 5 stars more than you know. I'll talk to you next week.